I'm enjoying myself with massaging seats, cooled seats, and warming in the seats at the same time. We are only getting 80 kilowatts of this 400 kilowatt Alpitronic unit. How are these Chinese cars in Europe? Well, any cold weather? Well, it doesn't seem super optimized. Good morning and welcome to Autospec Roaming. I am driving an exciting car. It is a car I've driven before in summer, but it's time to test it in the winter. And one hint is 400 kilowatt charging. Isn't that absolutely insane? Well, here is the beast. There we go, the Zeekr 7X. And today I will be driving this one from Norway to Sweden. And it's quite a far route, and we will be testing how the car handles winter temperatures, charging in the winter, preconditioning logic, and a bunch of fun stuff. So join me for this journey in this super nice Zeekr. Air suspension, automatic doors, and everything you would want in a luxury car. Let's see if the automatic doors work. This car has been staying outside. It has been freezing tonight. You can see the ice on the side here. Not that much ice. There could have been more ice, but yeah, the automatic door seems to work perfectly so far. It also stops before hitting the edge here because it has ultrasonic sensors, which is fantastic. Once I jump into the car and press the brake pedal, the door automatically closes, so that's a nice luxury feature. Now let's set up the navigation and my driving profile and everything, and let's get on the way. We also have the new software in this Zeekr. It recently got a huge software update that fixed a bunch of the bugs, a bunch of the translation errors, and I'm just impressed that Zeekr has managed to get a proper OTA out, not like a small OTA, a huge update with a bunch of features. And one of those features is the new navigation. So this navigation was hidden before in a submenu. Now it's the main navigation because they used it as like a development for creating this new navigation. We are going to a city called Norrköping. There we go. So let's see if the navigation can plan the route for us. I should have the e-route planner on. It says one charging stop, and that's at Mer. Can we delete that one? I don't really want to go to the Mer station because it's insanely expensive. I remember that we could prefer different, preferred brands. Ionity. Here we have the same issue that it shows the Chinese charging brands that are not relevant for Europe. But let's prefer Ionity and see what happens. Ionity has at least 350 kilowatt charging. So it says this Ionity station right here, and that seems fine. It is also the route I want to take is this one, not the upper route, due to better highways. I like better highways. So that's nice. So let's just try this one. It says one charging stop. I assume we will visit more chargers because there are some interesting chargers on the way. There is also one super cool Circle K site that's around here, and maybe around here. It's 1 hour from Norrköping, so I might actually drive directly there and then go to Norrköping. If you're wondering what I'm doing in Sweden, I'm going to a Kempower event, so a truck charging Kempower event. But this video will be the road trip itself. So join me for this journey in the Zeekr 7X, and I will tell you everything about preconditioning and if we can get the maximum charging speed. It is 3 hours away. We are now at 73%. And that gives us a 299 kilometers estimated range. What's also new in this software is if I go here and I go to quick settings, you now have combined driving modes. So this one will give you different, it will adjust everything with the cars. These are complete driving modes, which is fantastic. So comfort, eco, that's rear wheel drive mainly. And then you have Sport and Snow, which is all-wheel drive. Mainly, it will always have the front induction motor on. And off-road as well, I assume, will also have the front induction motor on. But these ones will use the rear permanent magnet and then connect the front induction motor on these ones when you accelerate hard. So it's a very normal setup, I would say. and it's pretty nice. There are some complaints I have about the driving of this car, but in general, it is a good driving Chinese car. And Zeekr is a brand that I absolutely have learned to like over time, because they offer, you can see that there have been design inspirations from Europe with stuff that's important to Europeans. And I really, really like that. We will reset the trip data. Trip data 1 is reset, and if we go here, we can set trip data 1 to the home screen, which is absolutely fantastic. So there we go, and I think we are ready to get on the way. I have activated one-pedal driving, even though it's slippery outside and cold, because that's my preference, to drive with one-pedal driving in almost all conditions, especially in these conditions. Zeekr 7X's one-pedal driving is surprisingly good. It's better than many other cars, but it's not perfect. It will jolt a little bit when stopping and starting. And also, it doesn't have one-pedal driving in reverse, which is a common theme for many electric cars. And I find that kind of annoying that you don't have one-pedal driving in reverse, because I'm so used to it. So it creeps in the reverse, and it has no one-pedal driving when going forward. But I have to applaud Zeekr for actually implementing one-pedal driving, and it works pretty nice. And how often do you reverse? Well, not that often. It's not the end of the world. But something I would like to see in future cars is one-pedal driving in reverse, especially when I have gone in and activated it. I know what I want there. It still has brake hold and everything, and it still has this one-pedal driving when driving forwards, but something that I do notice. I have to mention that we have 19-inch, I believe, winter tires, and these are winter tires from Michelin, which I've never tried before, so that's exciting, I guess. I'm used to Nokians and Continentals. That's the two most common brands in Norway. But the Michelin X-Ice whatever. You know the movie Monsters Inc? With the monsters working in this factory, and you have the green little guy, the round guy, and you have the blue Yeti type of guy, and you have the actual Yeti, which is selling ice cream in the Himalayas or whatever. This kind of tarantula cyborg kind of hybrid boss that I have at Monsters Inc. He has a scene where he makes some coffee, and it's like thick and super nasty. It's like the thickest coffee I've ever seen, because it's like a Monsters Inc. Of course, all the food is disgusting. Anyway, this is the type of coffee I have here now. It's so dark, and it almost feels thick. It's kind of nasty, to be honest, but well, it will keep me awake at least. I think I put way too much powder inside the coffee. I find this interesting about Chinese cars. They always have to have a higher degree Celsius or Fahrenheit or whatever you use inside a car than other cars. European cars are fine at 20 degrees Celsius or 21 degrees Celsius, where this car needs to be 24 or 25. And it's not necessarily a fault of the heating inside a car. It's just that's the way it's adjusted. That 24 degrees Celsius is the normal, not 20 or 21. It's always like this. It's this with Xpengs and the Zeekrs and the BYDs and everything. It's just a higher number. It's better, I guess. Can you see the rear wiper action? This car has a rear wiper with a rear sprayer, so that's fantastic for the Nordic conditions. Other cars without it, no matter how aerodynamic the cars are, they get dirty and you can't see out the rear. So this is a fantastic feature. Very, very, and this shows this kind of European design vibes that they have gone for, and the design office in Gothenburg or Göteborg, where they develop this car, and it shows because it has a rear wiper with a sprayer. This road is so new to me that I missed the exit. I'm so used to just driving straight and not take the exit to the E18, which is the other border crossing to Sweden. Luckily it's just 4 kilometers down here. I can just take another route onto the E18, but I wanted to mention it because we lost 3% estimated on arrival, so it's now 22% estimated on arrival. I don't want to give give a false impression of the arrival state of charge. So that's why I'm telling you that I took the wrong exit right now, and we added some kilometers, but not the end of the world. So 22% estimated on arrival right now. So this is our exit now, and I think so at least. Yep, should be this one. It shows right in the heads-up display. I should follow the heads-up display actually, because the heads-up display always gave me the right directions. It's just me not being able to follow directions. There we go. Oh, a Honda ENY1. That's a cool spot. That's one of the worst EVs. It's not like super compliant, but it's a nice cruise. It's actually pretty compliant over that bump. It felt so nice. I've actually been here before. That's interesting, but I've never driven here. I was here when I was a child because my grandmother used to work at this building. I didn't know it was here. That's interesting. She was like a veterinarian for like large animals like cows and horses. I used to park right over there. Wow. I also make Norwegian content, but the Norwegian content is actually different from the English content that you listen to right now or watch right now, because there are so many EVs in Norway and it's completely normalized in Norway. So if I made a Norwegian version of this video and I would start talking about the ID7 that you can see in front of us right now, that would be extremely boring. But to you, maybe it's interesting, because the ID7, the Volkswagen ID7, a car that I absolutely enjoy. Why does the navigation say to the right and E18 is to the left? Should we follow the Zeekr navigation, or should we go follow the signs? I think we follow the Zeekr navigation. I want to see how the Zeekr navigation does. Wow, an 80 zone and curvy roads. Actually, Zeekr navigation actually took me to the completely right place. So now we can test the car a little bit, because it's dry asphalt and it's not slippery outside. I have done a brake check, which you should always do in slippery conditions. Actually, with EVs, it's easier to do an acceleration check, in my impression, to check the slippery. And here we have a Volkswagen ID Bus, brand new one, GTX. That's also a racing monster, probably the fastest van ever produced. And it handles pretty great, this car, actually. It's not too bad. Not too bad. It's very heavy though. Are these the best driving roads in the world? Look at this. You can see far into the road, so you see that there is no upcoming traffic. You have 80 zones, which is way too much to take these turns at, especially now in the winter with winter tires. So you don't get limited by the speed limit. And yeah, it's so fun and so open and so safe. I'm actually happy that the Zeekr navigation took me on these roads. It's so fun. So I thought this was the bridge to Sweden. Apparently we are far away from Sweden. So yeah, still ways to go. This is not the bridge to Sweden, which I find interesting. I'm not used to crossing to Sweden from this route, so that's why. I'm enjoying myself with massaging seats, cooled seats, and warming in the seats at the same time. It's not cooling, it's ventilation, but it feels like it's cooling a little bit. But with the heat on, I think I prefer the heat on like 2 and the cooling fan on 1. At the same time as the full back stretch massage. I think that's the ultimate combo. It feels so nice, and the massaging seats are fantastic. And the car actually, now I noticed, we were passing a semi-truck there, and it scooched over. It almost hit the line there to make space for the car that's in the right driving lane, which is interesting. And I kind of like it, because it leaves some space for the other cars, and for myself to not like push up on the semi-truck. So it feels like it's driving off the road, but it's just scooching in the lane. Okay, I think we're close to the Swedish border, so let's do a consumption check-in. Just to reiterate on my driving style is, I would say, Norwegian fast driving, so driving following the speed of traffic, a little bit over the speed limit from time to time, but like keeping it safe, but not trying to be efficient. I would drive as I would normally drive any type of car. That's the same way I drive all cars, so just to have a good comparison point, I think it's representative of trying to get to your destination fast in Norway. And that's a Renault 5 with ER license plate. That's the newest license plate available in Norway. Cool. Anyway, our consumption is 25.6 kilowatt hour per 100 kilometers, which is of course the same as 256 watt hour per kilometer. We have driven 402 kilometers, 103 kilometers, and the speed limits that we have been driving have been 110 zone, 100 zone, 90 zone and 80 zone mainly. A little bit of slowdowns in 50 zones, but that's just a tiny part of our driving. It's been mostly highway, mostly high speed, 110 kilometers per hour. Maybe you would be in driving at 120 something kilometers per hour. So that's our efficiency, 255 watt hour per kilometer so far. So yeah, I will check in on the efficiency from time to time. This is how it looks, by the way, when you have massaging, heating and ventilation on at the same time, which is cool that it works. It's only German cars that usually have the ability to have heating and ventilation at the same time. So I like to see that in the Zeekr. So this is how the border between Norway and Sweden looks. We have to drive slowly through here, and there is never any check over to Sweden, but there can be checks from like Sweden to Norway, which is quite common, but that's only to not have your alcohol quota or anything like that. They just check that you don't have too much of anything over the border, because it's also the border between the European Union that Norway is not a part of, and Norway, so it's a customs border. We don't share the same custom rules as inside the European Union. It's still both are Schengen countries, which means that there is no passport control unless there are special circumstances. So now I'm driving on green. I have nothing to declare, and I won't have anything to declare on the way back either. But it's interesting to cross the border here. I haven't done that before. Of course, all lorries or trucks, they need to go through the customs check here, because they, of course, almost always has something to declare over the border and pay the customs fees and the VAT and everything on. And here we are, 100 zone, single lane 100 zones is Sweden exclusive. I think we don't have that in Norway. We have single lane 90 zones, but not single lane 100 zones, as far as I know. And you also notice here in Sweden is that the middle lane, the one indicating that on the other side there is traffic in the opposite direction, is white instead of yellow. In Norway this lane is yellow, which is why the Autospec roaming logo has this road that's yellow. It's because the middle lane in Norway is, or the indication that you have traffic in the opposite direction on the other side of the road is yellow. But in Sweden and many other European countries, it is actually white. So that's something different about Sweden. Also, the speed limit signs are yellow and red. Oh yeah, and Sweden has an insane amount of speed cameras compared to Norway, and I don't know how much over you can drive through them. In Norway you can drive 5 over through the speed cameras. Well, always wave to the speed camera. In worst case scenario, you get a ticket and you get a nice picture. Actually, it says 200 meters to like this traffic camera that you can see right there. 100 meters. It actually shows them on the map, which is interesting. That's nice. Sweden has an insane amount of traffic cameras. I have driven through 4 or 5 traffic cameras, and just for a comparison, I've driven 128 kilometers. We drove around 100 kilometers in Norway, and there was not a single traffic camera on that route that we drove in Norway, but now in Sweden, just 28 kilometers into Sweden, or even less than that, 25 kilometers into Sweden, we have encountered, this is my 4th or 5th traffic camera. But the speed limits are higher in Sweden though, which is nice. Okay, change of plans. So the Ionity station in Karlstad, which was the one I was navigating to, is full. And that makes sense. Ionity has some of the lowest prices per kilowatt hour with their subscription, and everyone wants to charge there. Karlstad is a larger city, and makes sense. The more expensive Circle K chargers are right in the same location, and I think they are truck chargers or 400 kilowatt Alpitronic units, and I don't care paying a little bit more to not be in a charging queue and get higher speed, because that's an old Ionity site, which is maximum 350 kilowatts with the tritium units, which I'm not really a fan of either. They are old hardware. The new Circle K site there says 400 kilowatt chargers available. I think they are truck chargers, but doesn't matter, they are open to everyone, so I will navigate there. They are not in the navigation. I think I will take a look. If they are in navigation, I will navigate there. Anyway, I will start preconditioning early, like 1 hour before arriving, and we will arrive with 13%, it says, because it's a little bit further away, and the route planner estimation is not the best. We will see what we arrive with in the end. Some route planners kind of are very optimistic, then conservative, then optimistic again, for example Tesla. But let's see what happens. I really want to get 400 kilowatts if possible, if it has the right cables, if the temperature is correct outside. It's minus 2 degrees Celsius outside, and it is difficult to heat up this battery. So actually I might start preconditioning very early on, like 1 hour and 16 minutes before we are there, because I don't think the automatic route planner does enough preconditioning in my experience from just driving this a little bit around. So I will use manual preconditioning now, and it says regulating battery temperature. It'll know its best temperature, and I hope we get a good charging session over at the Circle K. I think that's more exciting for you as well. So we are around 35 minutes from the charger, and something interesting of note is that the battery preconditioning has been running for almost 1 hour, 45 minutes. It has been running for 45 minutes, and it still says regulating battery temperature. This means that it does actually take quite a while to heat up this battery. And yeah, so 45 minutes before. So let's see how far it needs to go to actually reach the optimal temperature. It will say once it reaches the optimal temperature. So I'm a little bit curious to see if that's 1 hour into preconditioning or even more. Again, we have 35 minutes to the charger, so I hope it's preconditioned between now and then, but let's see. We are only getting 80 kilowatts of this 400 kilowatt Alpitronic unit, and the car beside me is getting even less. But that is a 400 volt car. This is an 800 volt car. Is there something with the power modules sharing 400 volt and 800 volt? I don't know. I think we are supposed to get way more than this. We have been preconditioning for so long, and we are only getting 120 amps, like you can see here. So actually not sure what's going on. This kind of sucks. So let's see if we can go to this one, and we will just find another fast charger and go to that one instead of waiting here. What's this one? Okay, so now the ID4 actually unplugged, which is interesting. Someone else will probably come and plug in very soon, but I want to see if we ramp up. We got a little bit more, There we go, 100. We're ramping. And there is one guy waiting in charging queue actually, so he will probably park here. But let's see if we ramp anything more than 100 kilowatts. It's so slow though. 105 kilowatts. And we will see what happens. I just want to stay here and see what happens because I'm interested. But now we have an iX3, old iX3, which will be a 400 volt car plugging in. But we're still only getting very low speed. It doesn't ramp fast. I think 135 is the maximum out of this charger, which makes sense because we had... Yeah, it makes sense because the ID4 was pulling 40 kilowatts. So 135 max minus 40, that's about what we got. So this charger is limited to around 140 kilowatts. It's probably a site level limitation. It's a little bit of a detour, but it has the truck charging site and I think I want to check that out. So let's go to this one actually. It seems fine. This is just a nightmare with 99 kilowatts at the Alpitronic Hyper 400. It's a nightmare. So if we go like this and this one, 9 of 10 available. That's awesome. Let's see, it says 10% on arrival without the charging stop. So let's give it a little bit more since the route planner is a little bit optimistic. Here is the site, by the way. Alpitronic Hyper 400 and then Alpitronic Hyper 400 right there. And I had the front in because my charge point port is on the left-hand side in the rear. So what's the reason for slow charging? Well, it's almost impossible to find out in some cases. Most cases it is fine. You can understand that you have a cold battery or that you have a high state of charge. You don't get the expected kilowatts, and that's fine. But when it comes to issues like this one, where we are getting 135 kilowatts out of a 400 kilowatt charger, everyone charges slow, and we know it's not the cars. Who's to blame? Is it Circle K? Is it Alpitronic, the producer of the charger? Or is it the power company not being able to deliver all the power needed to the site? Well, there can be a combination of everything, and it can almost be impossible to find out without diagnosing the charger itself. So yeah, the only thing you can do if you arrive at a slow charger is to charge just enough to get to the next good charger and just get on your way and just eat the time lost. Because don't stay at a slow charger unless there is no good chargers in the near vicinity. That's my tips for electric car driving. So we were at that charger for maybe 13 minutes, 14 minutes, which should have gotten us to like 80%, but it didn't. So now we are driving to this Circle K charger. It estimates 16% on arrival. We'll probably arrive with a little bit less than that, depending on how fast we drive. And we will plug in there at one of the truck sites, because I thought this was a truck charger for some reason. But yeah, I don't really know my way around Sweden, so maybe I drove to the wrong charger, I don't know. Okay, so we have been driving for quite a while now, and we are 8 minutes from the charger. So what does it say? It said 16% on arrival. We have been driving fast, so now it says 12% on arrival. And what does the preconditioning say? Because I've been using manual preconditioning right now, we are navigating to our charger, of course, but we have been using manual preconditioning just to make sure that everything is warm enough, and it says that the battery is at the correct temperature, and it has done so multiple times. Now I'm able to run the battery preconditioning again. We are 8 minutes out, but we should be at about the temperature that this car needs to accept the maximum charge. So we are still running the battery preconditioning. So we've been running the battery preconditioning the whole day, actually. So I'm excited to see the charger. What kind of charging layout do we have? And can we access the truck chargers? That would be amazing. And is the battery warm enough? It is -1 degrees Celsius outside. There was another Zeekr at that station. I'll go take a look later, but he was at the public chargers. We want to try the truck chargers here, like you can see here. So it says parking trucks, but let's see. I want to try the truck chargers because they have heftier cables, which is very cool. Let's see if I can activate them first. Okay, I plugged in, I authenticated. I couldn't activate via the app actually. And the reason is probably because these are truck chargers, which is interesting. So let's see what kind of charging speed we get. This is not very good. But it's ramping. So let's give it at least 4 minutes to ramp, I would say, this car needs. Ooh, nice, it's ramping. Seems like the peak was around 300 kilowatts, which is lower than I would expect with this car. With the right cables, obviously no thermal derate in this cold weather. But yeah, it's interesting for sure. So that's a long boy right there. And these are, of course, the truck chargers. I can show you. This one has the same layout. It has the HPC cable, and then it has the Amphenol cable here, which probably has, yes, 450. And this one is rated for 375 amps. That's weird, but these can boost to 600 amps, I'm sure. It's kind of weird that it's just requesting 350 amps. So the cables are able to do more, and the charger is supposedly able to do around 600 amps. So I feel like it's very hard to get this battery properly optimized. 700 volts though, at 27%. Pretty amazing. And the charging curve will be flat. Average charging speed is pretty good, I would say, for this session, but 245 kilowatts at 43%. It is difficult to get this battery up to temperature, and even though I give it everything I can with the best chargers available, it is difficult to get the best charging curve in this battery, which I do find interesting in the cold. It's not the end of the world, but I would expect more. I think we are properly done there. 28% on arrival is more than I would need. And here we can see the charging for the trucks. Max input current, max charging current 600 amps. This one is configured for 600 amps on both cables, which is interesting. They are testing both cables, I think. So let's look at the active sessions. We have been here for 11 minutes and we have gone from 11 or 10% to 55%. Oh, look at all these people charging. And there are two of the same BMW i4s. That's interesting. I don't need to charge, but I kind of want to run into the bathroom. And to be honest, this car charges so fast, especially now that we got the proper charger, that I can just stay here without charging for a few minutes to not risk being cold. So I'll show you here. That's a Volvo XC40, now called EX40. That's i4 M50. That's a Peugeot E2008. And that's a i4 eDrive 40, I think. i4 eDrive 40, which is interesting. All charging at these Alpitronic units. They don't know that they have truck chargers back there, but since the power level of these chargers is so good, it doesn't really matter that they share. Back onto the highway. Estimated 33% arrival down at where we're going, which is a Kempower event. If you wonder what was going on in Sweden, Kempower is finished, but they have some exciting stuff coming for Sweden that I can't wait to share more about, and that's why I drove to this event. So the Circle K chargers are quite expensive. They are like 6 Swedish krona per kilowatt hour. Generally, charging seems kind of expensive in Europe, and outside Norway, inside Norway as well, for certain certain providers, it is very expensive, and I think that's a shame, especially in the winter. They do adjust their prices yearly, at least once a year, and Tesla just adjust the prices like 4 times a year, it seems like, or more, even monthly, and based on time of use and stuff like that. But most providers have this flat rate that's around 5-6 NOK per kilowatt hour at the time of filming this video. So that's the way it is. At least it is fast charging, it is good hardware, of course, we have to remember that it's difficult to precondition this car. But we did reach 300 kilowatts, and when we do that, I'm not complaining too much. We had an 11-minute charging stop there. We had a 15-minute charging stop at the slow charger in total to drive around 6 hours with a lot of highway to our destination in Sweden. That's 25 minutes. So that's okay, and we will arrive with 33%, which is good. So yeah, I will keep you updated on the efficiency, but right now the efficiency after driving 370 kilometers is 246 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, or 247 watt hour per kilometer. We've been on the road for 4 hours and 46 minutes. And I also want to say that the response of the steering wheel buttons are better than ever. They are fantastically responsive compared to before. So the software update kind of fixed the responsiveness of the buttons so that I can switch between things very easily. How are these Chinese cars in Europe? Well, any cold weather? Well, it doesn't seem super optimized. Now I have more data than today, because I don't see how I can say that this one has bad preconditioning logic or battery chemistry when I've only charged it twice, but I have actually charged it about 5 times already because I did some sessions before starting this road trip, and I found the same. It is difficult to get this battery heated. Now, on the return trip, which I will make a video about as well, so make sure to stay tuned for that, I will try to just use the route planner's preconditioning logic and see if that helps. But I doubt it will make a difference, but it will be exciting to find out if it actually makes a difference to just not use the manual preconditioning, but use the built-in preconditioning logic. An issue with manual preconditioning is that the car doesn't really know what you are supposed to do, and people will press the manual preconditioning button at the wrong times, so many times, and you will waste so much energy. That's the reason why many manufacturers don't have manual preconditioning. They only have navigate preconditioning. That's the reason, because you're wasting so much energy. Sorry, but you don't really know what's best for the car. I activated it all day today because I know it is difficult to get this battery hot, and I wanted to get it up to temperature, and it did help on the last charging stop. 300 kilowatts, pretty good. And I kind of know this battery now. I think I know it at least. But yeah, that's the dumb thing with manual preconditioning, is that so much wasted energy because you press the button at the wrong time. That's why navigate preconditioning is actually better. But we will try that on the way back. If we look at the numbers and adding 46 kilowatt hours on the Model Y in Europe, average 120, 130 kilowatts compared to this one, which averaged 234 kilowatts at not optimal charging conditions for this car. So even a Tesla under optimal conditions will have a much lower charging speed for adding the same amount of energy. It doesn't go double as far per kilowatt hour. It's not double as efficient as this car. And that means that this one is a faster road tripper still with this kind of charging. Sorry, but the guy in the Series or Ceres or whatever is the worst driver ever. Drives like in the other lane with oncoming traffic. That's not what you want to do. So I'll try to pass when able, when it's safe. We are nearing Norrköping, which is the city that I wanted to go to, and we have been driving for 6 hours and 8 minutes. We have used 236 watt hour per kilometer, or 23.6 kilowatt hour per 100 kilometer, which is okay consumption. We have been driving relatively fast, but the average speed is of course much lower because there are some very slow sections. And we are soon taking the off-ramp into Norrköping here, so let's take a look at our trip statistics. Average speed 80 kilometers per hour, total consumption 113 kilowatt hours, and consumption in motion is 112.6, and about a little bit under a kilowatt hour in static energy consumption. 87% has gone to the drive system and air conditioning, and a little bit to the low voltage, and almost nothing to battery temp control, which makes me wonder. It says 0.1% to battery temp control, that the preconditioning logic maybe needs an update. We will see. We will have a return trip as well, of course, and that will be quite different because we will use different strategies, and we are also going to test the phantom drain of this car. So stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for watching this out of spec roaming video.